PPT, how to market, the basics we teach. Because most of them cannot afford computers and they have no access to them. And similarly, we have something called celebrations. Celebrations is celebrating your loved ones on their anniversaries, on their birthdays, on their death anniversaries. You could contribute to any of the causes that Vishwa showcases on its platform, vishwa.org. You could, Annadanam for instance. There are a lot of people across the country who, when they go to hospitals, they come up from far off regions and the little money they have, they keep it aside for the treatment of the patient. They sleep on platforms, they hardly eat anything. And we give them food every afternoon on Fridays, and it makes a lot of difference. There are similar such fundraisers. Please feel free to celebrate your loved ones with any of these causes.
Vishwa's commitment towards zero waste and a long way to go in achieving the goal begins with our material donation drive. Conducted twice a year during Diwali and Ugadi in Hyderabad, this drive collects clothes, books, toys and other used or semi-used items for the underprivileged. Contributions from over 615 plus families have benefited around 2,800 individuals, providing essential items and support, bringing hope and dignity to them. Through these efforts, we transform the waste of some into the treasure of others, promoting sustainability and community welfare.
Namaskaram everyone and a very good morning and welcome to Vishwa Talks. My name is Radhika and thank you all for attending today's Vishwa Talk on Zoom and to those who are watching it on YouTube Live. For those of you who have attended a Vishwa Talk before, a warm welcome back. And for new joiners, here's a little bit about Vishwa Talks. Vishwa Talks is a program to create awareness and to inspire people to participate in social change. Here, we discuss and explore diverse opinions, different perspectives, different issues, problems, and their solutions. We include various fields like art and culture, healthcare, environment, education, health and family welfare, and many more. So each webinar is an interactive session with a deeper understanding of the topic at hand. We have over 140 experts who have shared their insights with over 15,000 unique participants from various cities and states. So if you miss any part of this session and if you would like to go through the previous sessions of Vishwa Talks, please visit our YouTube channel for a full library of past Vishwa Talks. So in today's Vishwa Talk, we are honored to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Dasu Kiran, who is CEO of Da Subhashitam, which is not just the largest platform for Telugu audiobooks, it is the first of its kind app that combines literature, science, and spirituality. Mr. Kiran has an incredible journey of exploring what truly makes life fulfilling. His curiosity has taken him on physical journeys to the Himalayas and metaphysical journeys into the profound teachings of Upanishads, Patanjali Yoga, and consciousness studies. After 20 years of this deep exploration, Mr. Kiran experienced a profound shift in consciousness in 2021. He discovered that Advaita or non dualism is a master key that can unlock a deeper sense of well being in every individual. This realization has redefined the way he sees the relationship between personal, professional, and spiritual aspects of life, breaking many myths along the way. Today, he will share his insights with us in this talk titled The Myth of Work Life Balance Crafting a Life of Fulfillment and Purpose. He will explore our relationship with work, challenge the myth of work life balance, and propose a more fulfilling way to approach both work and life. So, without a further ado, let us welcome Mr. Dasu Kiran. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Radhika. Namaskaram to everyone. I'm so
Namaskar.
glad here and to be talking to all of you this morning. Shall I start screen share?
Yes, sir, please.
You're able to see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Right. So, breaking the myth of work-life balance. I don't know if you've seen this, but there's a new series on Apple TV Plus called Severance. The concept is that there is this corporation and it offers its employees an option to undergo a surgical procedure. Now, if they choose to get that done, what will happen is that when they're in the office, they won't remember anything about their personal life. And when they're outside office, they won't remember anything in the office. So that's one way to achieve work-life balance. I was speaking to a friend of mine who lives in Australia about this topic, and he said that in February 2024, this year, Australian government has brought out a new law which gives employees the right to disconnect after office hours. So as per this law, employees are not obliged to respond to any calls, messages, or emails after work, after office hours. And the working hours are like 7.5 hours in a day. While more time is desirable, we know that more time automatically doesn't translate into higher quality of life or more balance, as it were. You probably know this person. He's Adam Grant. He is a professor at Wharton, and he's renowned organizational psychologist and possibly the person who has worked most in the thinking about work-life balance and aspects of work. He also hosts an award-winning podcast called The Work Life. And it has been downloaded many, many times, and it's top of the list multiple times on multiple lists. He says that the idea that work-life balance means I show up at 10 a.m. and I'm done by 3 p.m. is ridiculous. This comes from a traditional approach to how we think about work-life balance, right? So scenario one is where work sucks and life is better, or in comparison to work, life seems better. Here, the thing is that, you probably are in a bad job, bad environment, and you're looking to change. There's a scenario two. The scenario two is that work is very, very exciting, and you cannot stop yourself from working. Not out of compulsion, but because of the joy, because of the high that you get. And in this scenario, life suffers. So we are all looking for scenario three, wherein both work and life, as it were, are in balance. But this is not sustainable, because there might be moments in somebody's life where life is going on very well, work is enjoyable too, but we know that life is dynamic. Situations change, circumstances change. So we never find balance at this level. So which is why Adam Grant said work-life balance is mostly a myth. Because the way I see it is that the problem is with this bifurcation. In fact, there's only one life, right? And it is an amalgam of many experiences. Many components of life don't fit into neat boxes like, work, life, hobbies, travel, leisure. It's all mixed up. And we not just mixed up, but we see balance in the wrong place. And let me explain. So we seek balance here. We'll never find it there because that is so dynamic. It is found here, but there's another word for it. It's called flow, or being in the zone in all situations in life. To do that, we need to see time as a mental construct, lose hold of the narrative self, find quiet joy in every moment. Now, these are non-dual concepts, and we'll dive into these things a bit more going forward. But let's backtrack and look at our relationship with work itself. Work does more than put food on the table. It does more than make us feel productive. It makes us feel. It makes us feel that we have a purpose in life. It is a meaning. In most cases, it is an identity that people carry, and we draw a lot of self-worth from work, which is why in my language it's said, "Udyogam Purusha Lakshanam," meaning work is a characteristic of a man. If we have to say it in a general neutral way, in these times, it would be Udyogam Manish Lakshanam. It's a characteristic of a human. Maybe because of this, we spend a third of our lives at work and quite a good amount of time in the remainder of the 2/3 thinking about work. I have a theory that there are 3 archetypes of workers: the anxious, the happy, and the fulfilled. The anxious are currently unhappy at work. It could be due to, toxic work culture, insensitive bosses, cutthroat competition, office politics, or insipid work, or challenging work hours. This anxious type of people seek change in the work. The second archetype is the happy but. These are obviously very happy at work. The job is challenging. They probably have a great boss and work with a great team. And they're so happy that they tend to overlook the other aspects of life. And they are the ones who are seeking balance. The third archetype are the ones who are happy regardless of the circumstances. It sounds too good to be true, but I can say that it is possible. But the process is incredibly hard. Now, I want to make it sure that in this session, I'm not going to give you quick fixes or say that do this in 5 easy ways or things like that. All these things are incredibly hard, the concepts and the tools. But there is something worthwhile at the end of the journey. But for now, I want you to take a moment to think about which archetype you belong to. And if you want to move into the third archetype, which is the fulfilled archetype, just type 3 in the chat box. Just take a moment. Great to see some responses there. So if you are the anxious type, you are not alone. In fact, you are the majority. Gallup is a workplace consulting and global research firm. It does these studies often. And in one of the studies, only 33% of people reported feeling engaged at work. 9% said they are miserable at work. So about 70% of workers are unhappy. The number one reason for dissatisfaction is unfair treatment at workplace, which is what we discussed earlier: insensitive managers, taxing work hours, inconsistent pay, favoritism, office politics, etc. This is the scenario one we spoke about. To discuss the solutions to these problems are beyond the scope of this presentation, but I want to introduce someone at this point. Meet Naval Ravikant. He is the founder of AngelList and investor and a philosopher. He came up with this model of wealth creation, which I think is also useful to attract better job opportunities. His model is this. There are three specific things that we have to work towards, which is gaining specific knowledge, demonstrating that we have been in roles that are accountable, and building leverage. Now, what are these? Specific knowledge is anything that is mastery in your field of work, in your area of work. Showing accountability is important, because if you see all the top positions or whatever positions you aspire to, they all want accountability. You can't simply pass the buck to the next one. The buck stops at you. Or is it the puck? So accountability is what we have to demonstrate. And leverage is, in employment terms, it's your personal brand. If you are a coder, the leverage or the exposure that you built on GitHub, or if you're a managerial person, the thought leadership that you showed on LinkedIn, these all come under leverage. So if these three things are there, you will attract better opportunities, or you will attract wealth, as Ravikant would say. There's, if you want to read more about this model, there is a book called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. A fabulous read, very short book, very, very pithy and easy to read. I highly recommend that you check this out. Back to our second category of workers archetype, the happy birds. Imagine you working in, building a vaccine or on a project that is putting a human on Mars. You're likely working with a team that is phenomenal, right? And the work hours, simply vanish. You don't see that you're actually working. Time collapses. Now, this is exactly what is our second scenario, where work is overwhelmingly good and joyful at the cost of life. As I said, you may be working with great people, and the key here is that the challenge of the job aligns with your skill perfectly, and which translates to you working long hours joyfully. According to a Hungarian-American psychologist, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, you are now in a state of flow. So this is his model, Mihaly's model. If you have high skill, but the challenge is not high, you experience boredom. If the challenge is high and the skill is low, you experience anxiety. When your skill meets the right challenge, you have the right amount of arousal and the right amount of control, which puts you in that flow zone. You're so involved that nothing else matters. Mihaly also said this: he says that, it's a state in which people are so involved in an activity that nothing else seems to matter. He also said this: the best moments in our lives are not the passive, receptive, relaxing times. The best moments usually occur if a person's body or mind is stretched to its limits in a voluntary effort to accomplish something difficult and worthwhile. Now, flow states are wonderful. All of us have experienced a state like that at one point in time or the other. I mean, examples that come to my mind are you could have been lost in listening to music or playing a game or even in your work. But the problem is that intermittent flow states don't solve our problems. They don't fulfill us. They make certain moments more enjoyable, but they don't fill the void in our lives. If anything, they could actually make the work-life balance equation worse, which is the second scenario. As we discussed before, life is a collection of many experiences. In the final evaluation of life, experience like being in a relationship, caring for parents, raising children, maintaining friendships, these rank higher than work experiences. They might be, if you're working on a, putting on a space mission or, doing a vaccine or anything important, those will come to, but I don't think they will be the things that we'll look at or we'll remember in the final evaluation of life. So what is the solution? The solution is to get into a flow state in everything we do. Get into a flow state at will. Is that really possible? Athletes and artists often talk about flow states, right? I mean, one of my favorite experience of sport is watching Tendulkar bat. There are arguments about how many matches he's won, but for me, Tendulkar is an artist. So I see him play outside of the conditions of the game, actually. Imagine that, and it's you hear it with sports person and artists like A.R. Rahman. Also, I'm watching a series on him. They constantly talk about the flow state, how things are happening by themselves. What if this flow state is equal to a flow state when you're peeling soaked almonds? What if there's no difference? What if you cannot distinguish between these two? The example of soaked almonds is because I soak and give peeled almonds to my kids before they go to school. And I find the same joy, or quiet joy, I should qualify it, in doing that as I got in making this presentation. I practiced my way into getting into a zone at will. It's not easy. It is incredibly hard, but I can tell you it is possible. So how do we get into flow at will? From my experience, when I look back, 3 things stand out and 3 things I can recommend. First is we have to see time as a mental construct. Do you feel like a passenger in your body traveling through time, trying to avoid potholes of life? Most of us do. But we have to question this condition. Just think what happens during deep sleep. There's no sense of time, space, or personhood. Time is a mental construct that happens during the waking state only. And there is only present in the waking state. It takes a little bit of deep observation. When you'll see that past and future are actually thoughts in the present state. So there's always only the present. We are not passengers in time, but all conditions pass through us. And all of them are transitory, ephemeral. There is a useful analogy that goes around in the non-dual circles to explain this. The analogy is of a movie screen in a cinema. it is stationary, it is always there. And it will show a lot of content, right? The content could be joy, romance, violence. There could be there could be fire, there could be floods. All of them are only appearances on the screen. The screen itself is unaffected by those experiences, by those appearances. And sometimes there's nothing on the screen. The screen is blank. That is equated to a deep sleep state. So once you get this concept, you will gradually or sometimes suddenly lose your sense of narrative self. You will see that even this Dasakiran talking to an audience is also an appearance in consciousness. But to come here, we need to do a lot of inquiry, self-inquiry. And these days there are apps that help you do this. It used to be, that you had to go to find a guru and, spend years and years together and learn all these techniques, but it's much simpler now. And I can recommend that what worked for me is an app called Waking Up by Sam Harris. Waking Up is advertised as the new operating system for the mind, and it truly is. And you can see the time that I spend there. I don't use it that much these days, but during my practice, profound practice, I used the app a lot. It is based on non-dualism, which in turn is another name for the ancient wisdom found in Advaita Vedanta and Buddhism. Waking Up fuses the ancient wisdom with modern science. So it's more palatable for those people who are not, oriented towards the Upanishads or the Bhagavad Gita and what we have in the Hindu literature. This I recommend. Now, there is the third thing is finding quiet joy in every moment. Now, this is the hardest part. There is a practice for this too that we can do, but most don't like it. The practice is very tough, and I practiced it during the COVID times. That has been very helpful. But this practice that I'm going to talk to you about could singularly alter your life towards your attitude towards life. The thing is doing only one thing at a time. Whatever you're doing, do only that and give it your full attention. Do as long as it takes for you to experience that shift. Now, what is that shift? It is initially going to be very, very hard. You will question it because our mind wants to scatter its attention. It's so difficult for the mind to concentrate. You've often heard of meditation. The people advise you to meditate. This is the form of meditation. You get the fruits of meditation without actually formally doing it, if you do one thing at a time. There's meditation and there's monotasking. It's very, very close to that. If you do this, what will happen is you will be involved and immersed in the moment. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It could be peeling almonds. It could be washing dishes. It could be doing other chores. There's actually a new trend that's catching up. It's called raw dogging, which is a slang term. But there are people who are posting they're sitting on long haul flights, and they don't read, they don't watch, they don't listen. They just sit. And this is what they teach you in Vipassana too. And for many people, this is very, very tough to do. But if you are able to do this, you will feel that you have the superpower. You've won over boredom. If you can just sit and not do anything, that is a superpower. So if you do these three things, which is, dismantle the concept of time, lose your personhood and experience quiet joy. You will see the boundaries are artificial. You will feel less stress. You will experience a lightness, and you will be unmoved by highs and lows of life. In other words, you will be in flow always, or at least at will, and that will make our lives fulfilled. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was a really a new perspective of how we look at work, and it's really difficult to just stay without doing anything. And yeah. So before we move on to Q&A, I would like to request the audience to take a 30 seconds to answer a poll. The purpose of the poll is to help us understand you a little better so that we bring you better topics that you like. And I would like to express my gratitude to everybody who has joined today's Vishwa Talk and for your presence, for your time, and to contribute for making this webinar a success. And I would like to express my gratitude to our respected speaker, Kiran Kumar Garu, for taking your time to grace this event. Now I would like to request our founder, Ms. Srivani Garu, to initiate the Q&A. Okay, let's continue with the Q&A, sir. Let me check the chat box.
I see Mr. Shmuel and Ms. Saira have
Yeah.
raised their hands.
Hi, Shmuel. Good morning. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good morning. Good morning. I can talk.
Yes, please ask your question.
Good morning.
Thank you. Very interesting presentation. I very like it, this presentation. And my question is, what government and different authorities in creation effective balance between work and life?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question. I'm really sorry. There was also an audio disturbance. Could you
Yeah.
repeat the question, please?
Okay, I repeat.
Yeah.
I want to ask you what, according to your opinion, need to be a role of authorities in creation effective balance of work and life.
So, I mean, if I hear you correctly,
Yeah.
Radhika.
So, are you asking whether what government authorities can do to bring in work-life balance? Is it your question, Shmuel?
Yeah. How authorities can support
How government
creation,
authorities?
development,
He's asking
can
how government authorities can support in bringing work-life balance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think So there's another talk that I had, an interview that I had recently done for a Telugu TV channel, and where we discussed about education policies of the government and what the government should do for for language and development. And we discussed this, right? I mean, there are I think these are life skills that we don't teach our children. I think if we are able to give this education and incorporate into our education system, then I think the next generation will become more resilient, and they will be able to lead more successful lives. I think there is a lot of rat race and a lot of stress in life, and our children are growing into that. I think for adults, it's a journey that every adult has to undertake by themselves. But what government can do is put in a policy where we are training our children right, and giving them the tools so that they have this resilience and have better balance and enjoy their lives much more.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Shmuel.
Yes.
So Miss Saira, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Thank you. Kiran sir, thank you so much for an engaging, session. I really, really appreciate your time and wanted to understand the state of flow that you mentioned, right? Is it connected to something on mindfulness, a similar conceptual thing?
Yeah. So mindfulness
Mindfulness
is
is right.
yeah. It's probably a term that most people understand. But yeah, it is the same thing.
Something similar.
Yeah.
And also to align it
Mindfulness
with,
is,
yeah. So
yeah,
to
go on.
align it with, Deepak Chopra's thought on purposeless meeting, like, you told about something to just be there, Vipassana and all, something, in connection to this. Great, but, I'm very happy that I was able to, like, listen to you, and very intellectually driven session. Really appreciate your time and efforts, and entire team for that matter who coordinated for this. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Saira.
Thank you.
So we have a question from Vinita. Waking up, is it an app?
Yes, it is an app, and it can be found in the App Store. And if I give you my link, a link that then you'll get 30 days free. Otherwise, it is 7 days. But I will hand over the link to Radhika later on, that you can get it.
We will share it to your registered email IDs.
Yeah.
And we have a question from Rajiv. Implement right to disconnect from work like in Australia. So I think he
I think
responded
that goes to answer
Well,
Shmel's
yeah.
question. Yeah.
And there's a question from Manoj Bhatt. How to stay without doing anything, sir? There are many thoughts running and we are not at all used to boredom.
Yeah, I think everything starts with the first step, right? So people, if the reason why I didn't propose meditate straight away is because many people can't do it. But what can definitely be done is to put focus on what you're doing, because the mind is already occupied. It's not free, so it's doing something, and if we can restrict the distractions within that. That is one way of preparation, and that's a stepping stone to actually meditation. Because what happens is, when you give an advice to somebody to just sit and meditate, the mind won't do something that is not used to, right? So you spend life, a very busy life, and suddenly you're asked to shut everything down. It is not possible. If you are a meditator and you want to advance in meditation, you have to couple it with monotasking. Because you can't expect the mind to do something in a formal sitting session without training it outside that session. So you can't be multitasking and doing 10 things, juggling 10 things, and then expect to do well in meditation session. So as a stepping stone, the first thing to do is pay attention to one thing at a time. Give it your full focus. That is the number one thing that we need to adopt. And then slowly your answers will get resolved and you will be able to do it much more easily going forward.
Right. So we have MV Ramachandrudu Garu.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. I hope I'm audible. I just
Yeah.
wanted to know this concept of work balance life. Is it Western or is it Indian? Or are we, worried about this balancing these two things? Is it a recent worry? What is the Indian thought on this? You referred several, authors or scientists who did, who are all not from India. There is a lot of literature that you refer to from outside India, but you mentioned some of the keywords like Advait and all, which are Indian thoughts. Would it be nice to focus on Indian thought, on this particular issue? I thought sometimes we are unnecessarily creating problems by separating work and life, which perhaps is a new problem.
No, I disagree, sir, with that, because the issue of work-life balance actually is not Indian or Western, or it goes back to millennia. I was reading this book to my son. It's a comic version of the book Sapiens, and when we were foragers, when we were hunters and gatherers, when humanity was that, there was no problem. There was no work-life balance issues. These are all modern. And modern, I mean the agricultural revolution from since then, where we got this 9 to 5 work culture. So that is where it all started, because people earlier were, pretty happy. And if you go to you spoke about Indian or Western, if you take any Indian in a remote town who might not have heard about work-life balance in these words, and they're working hard, don't you think that they would have the pressure and they have the tension to balance different things in life? It will be, and they would not have been exposed to Western thinking. It's just the nature of our day, the life in the day, that gives us these tensions between different aspects. So I don't think there is anything Indian or Western in that.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. We have Chaitanya Garu raised his hand. Can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Thank you, ma'am. So, Kiran garu, namaste. My name is Chaitanya. So, my question is this. Often we don't find the job which we want to do. I mean, this is more of a question personally. Is it passion versus what the job we do? In those scenarios, how do you suggest that we move our job from the daily chores to one we like?
So you remember the slide that I showed about where I discussed Naval Ravikant's model. I knew this question would pop up because this is, if you're in that anxious zone, worker type, this is the question that will pop up. There's no simple answer to that. I mean, we have to look at, we have to make the jobs we like chases, right? Now, what can we do in that? That's what Naval proposed, right? I mean, we have to build our knowledge. We have to be the expert in our field. And we have to show that we are accountable. You can't hope to be in a good job where there's no accountability. And you have to make people know about your abilities, which is your leverage, which is your personal branding. You keep working on that. Like, for example, these days, software developers don't get good jobs by sending their resume. It's their work that they put on GitHub, the work that they do on open source projects that give them those opportunities. It is, everyone has to look at their life and say where they want to go, or have a person in mind that, okay, I want to be in his shoes or in her shoes, and then deconstruct as to what got them there. And we can also talk to them. right? And that's the way to do it. We have to attract better job opportunities. It's not easy. It's not, something that you can do overnight, but it takes time, it takes effort. And eventually, if you put in the right effort and time, good opportunities will come by.
Right. We have Mr. Suman who has raised his hand. Can you unmute yourself and ask your question, sir?
Namaste, sir.
Namaste.
Very well taken the session, the flow and all the things. Actually, this topic became viral after Infosys founder Narayan Murthy has talking about this. What are your views on that? Narayan Murthy. From that time,
Yeah,
it became
I know.
so viral. Our topic and everybody talking about work-life balance and
Yeah, now
what is
that
his
you say that,
view
it
and
is.
what is his view and is in what perspective he has told and what as a youth or we should take from that or anything insights.
So, yeah, I think, yeah, good that you brought that up. I remember that thing, Narayan Murthy's statement. He basically said that we should all work harder, like 70-hour work week. So I showed you that the Gallup poll, right? I think it was the third or fourth slide, where they had done the poll where 70% of the people were unhappy at work. It didn't matter whether those respondents had 30-hour work week or 60-hour work week. It didn't matter whether they are working remotely or in the office. Across the board, people were unhappy. So it is something more than just work hours. We have to get underneath the skin to understand and craft a life where there are no tensions like that. So in one sense, it is immaterial whether you work 30 hours or 70-hour work week. I mean, there is some consternation, but I think this topic is, goes beyond that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have Mr. Syama. Thank you for great session. Can you resonate with the point that nature of the work we are engaged with allows or facilitates the journey towards a flow state? It may make it easier or more challenging.
It is, because again, that goes into the happy buts zone, where your work is very, very engaging and exciting. But over a period of time, there's a void. You think that, there is, then you're not doing enough for your family or other aspects of life. I used to watch this. If you watch this interviews of film people, directors, or superstars, big heroes, they would often say that they miss their entire childhood of the children. They're so busy working, and they'd say that my wife took care of them, and I didn't know. What a tragedy, right? So when you're excited with work, you think that all there is, but at some point, you will see the fissures. And the challenge is, the core point is, do we need work, challenging work, to feel fulfilled? That's the question.
Right. We have a question from Mr. Prasad Surpaneli. Being in the flow as one state and being in the sleeping phase, which is truly blissful? I do realize that mindfulness state is different from sleep state. May you a little more elaborating from you would be enlightening.
I mean, this deep sleep state is obviously blissful, which is why we feel rejuvenated and relaxed, right? But what we're trying to do is that even during the waking state, can we control or reduce the traffic in the mind and look at our real nature? So my point is that it's possible. and with some training, with actually a lot of training, it's possible. But what is more blissful? It would be, you won't be able to choose. So deep sleep is one state, and waking up and feeling that lightness is another experience altogether. Both are enjoyable, both are blissful.
Right. We have a question from Surbi. Hi, thank you so much for the session today. My only question is, while working in the office, other colleagues are not in the same state as we are in, and the work environment is toxic or political. How to overcome such situations?
So it goes back. So these are all tactical issues. One thing is, if you are in a small organization and if you have the skills, find another job. Actually, to start with, if you have a good manager, it would help to talk to him or her and say that this is the thing that I'm facing, and see if that changes. These are all things I would do. Okay. If that is not the case, and if you have the skills that are useful in the market, then look for better opportunities. And if you don't have the skills, follow Ravikant's model and build those skills where the right opportunities will chase you. But the point is that what I said is that parallelly, if you can look at these things and the three things that I talked about, deconstructing the concept of time and losing your narrative self, and the last thing is finding quiet joy in every moment, you will not be so disturbed even in your current situation. And that's the point. You'll still look for other better opportunities, but you won't suffer as much.
So there's a question from Vinita M. How to manage time? We want to do many things apart from work in our day-to-day lives, but unable to fit in those in our routines.
I think, all of us have only 24 hours. I mean, if you are talking relatively about time, and we cannot do everything even if we want to. So we always have to prioritize. And there's actually, what is that? Eisenhower model, which is a matrix. I'll share that link, Radhika, you can send it. So it helps you identify how to prioritize tasks. Let me see if I can quickly pull it up.
Meanwhile, there are many acknowledgements, sir, from Rajiv Garu. Great presentation and pragmatic answers to the question. We need more practitioners like Kiran to help people live better and fulfilled lives. Thank you, Mr. Rajiv.
Thank you. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Right. So this is the Eisenhower matrix, which helps you prioritize stuff. So there's urgent. If something is urgent and important, that's what you need to tackle immediately. If it is important and not urgent, then schedule it. If it is urgent and not important, delegate it to somebody. And if it is not important, not urgent, don't worry about it. So this is the model, and we can use this model to prioritize tasks. Most of us prioritize without thinking about theory, right? And that's fine if you are able to operate like that. But if you are getting overwhelmed, I think we have to look at some of the tools that are available to us. So we don't need to throw deep philosophy at everything. For most problems like time management and being more productive at work and things like that, I think we can use the tools. What we are discussing today is a much more deeper thing. I mean, if you take a long arc of time, how do you look at your life and say, okay, it's fulfilled? Or even in every moment, as I said, can you feel joy in peeling soaked almonds in the same way as you feel joy in, doing some exciting work? That's the state that we are talking about.
We have Oinam Vikas Singh. So you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. My name is Vikas. I am from Imphal, Manipur. Today's session is very thankful for me and one and all also too. My question is, actually, my skill is connection. My role model is connection, and then convert to right work opportunity. Now I'm applying the skill, but there is some challenges for me. So told me about the skill and challenges. So how can I overcome the challenge? So because I have a lot of ideas and applicable the skill, and then there are lots of challenges for me in my in workplaces. So please some few give to me a few tip points. Thank you.
So if I get it right, you're asking for how can you enhance skills in your current role?
So now I'm working one organization EduClass skill. I'm a career counselor. So there is lots of gap between the life skill, mainly the new learners like students in Manipur from 7 p.m. From 7 a.m. up to 3 p.m. The students study in the school, and then they returned from in their home, and then another try to move coaching, and then they all the time experience their time in education. As this result, their brain is pressurizations, and then they want to relaxation, so they use mobile, so they become mobile addictions like a drug addictions. This is one of my topic. So from this one, I try to transform the new goods life mainly to students, and then convert, and then to try to understand about the value of the students' education systems mainly to their parents. And then I try to apply one sport discipline like taekwondo, karate, or any indoor games. So this is one of good feedback when I try to some reducing the challenges psycho effect from student. This is what I want to know some good point from you, sir.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great work that you're doing. I think it's also a very hard job to do, and you're training young minds. I can look at my own life, and I have two children, age 13 and 10. And we think about how we should inculcate good habits in them. As a parent, my first job that I thought I should succeed at is inculcating a habit of reading. So initially, until they got it, we focused on them. I read it. So I think one way to do is get children to love reading. Okay, and then once they like reading books, that is one. The books will envelop them into their own world, and automatically they don't rely on devices much. So both my children now read books, and sometimes they don't even watch the TV because they're so engrossed in the book. So reading is maybe something that you can inculcate, and if your environment suggests and encourages reading, I think that would make a change. And whatever other things are doing, like karate or all the physical activities, those help too. I hope I answered your question. And
Thank you, Vikas Singh. And we have Nagaraju Kesari. So you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Yes, sir, please ask.
Hi, Kiran.
Hello.
Yeah, we know each other. Thanks a lot. It's a very interesting session. I mean, it's amazing that you were able to summarize in just less than half an hour three very key points. My question is actually slightly different. In my case, I retired 1 year ago, so it is not so much of work-life balance. But how do I balance between still some social and other engagements that I have versus the good things that I want to do, like whether it is reading or getting into a regular use of waking up app. I seem to miss it. I seem to sometimes still don't have the 100% dedication and motivation to follow some good practices that you mentioned. And I still want to engage with the world, whether it is friends or a little bit of social media. So there is always this little bit of balance between these two, engaging with the world versus doing good things. Any comment on this?
I think we on in our daily lives we encounter things that we really like to do and things that we have to do. For example, social engagement or something. I think my theory is that if something has to be done, we have to give it our full attention. There's no point doing things involving only half of yourself. So if for example, if there's a social engagement and I really would rather sit and read a book, I would tell my spouse, or whatever, whoever, and I will excuse myself. If it is not important, if it's not worth your time, it's not, right? But if you have to go, might as well go and fully immerse yourself. And that's where experiencing quiet joy in every moment comes in.
Yeah.
So if you're able to sit quietly, what is the situation that you'll not be able to endure in life? What would be a situation that would be unbearable to you? If you are in a social engagement, you don't like it, but you have to go. You go there, you sit by yourself. Okay, some people might come and chat, talk, but if you are able to sit quietly, even with all the chatter, not react, what will bother you? So that's one thing. But again, coming back, if you don't have to go, if you can manage not to go and save that time, by all means do that. And I think what I found is that it's better to be honest and authentic than give reasons. I think people will respect you more for that, because when you say something, they will know that okay, you truly mean it.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. So it's like when you do not have an option, anyway you are doing it, so give you 100%.
Yeah, might as well give you 100%.
Yeah.
And you will feel joyful over a period of time, I'm telling you.
True. We have Sunil Kenjale. So you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah, myself Sunil Kenjle. My age is 40 years, and I am working into corporate lives. So I'm working into the toxic environment. Right now, I'm a professional. So there is an ifs and buts, and there is a rejection will be there. Okay. But the thing is that when I can do my work in honestly, I can just do 100% dedicated my efforts. Okay. And I literally I keen to know how to maintain work-life balance, because I honestly feel that work-life balance is more important than anything else. because nowadays I can just hear the examples of so many things. They are having such things, and that having some another means health issues and other things also. So how can I maintain these things? Because my age is 40 years and I have a responsibility and I am into the sales. So all pressure is always there. Okay. Apart from that, there is a very much toxic environment and no work life balance. Okay. So how I can manage? So that is my question. Thank you.
Yeah, so again, I risk repeating myself here. Uh, if you can change something in your organization, if you have the capacity and the power to change the environment that is concerning you, try to do that. If that is not possible, try to move into a better organization. But to do that, again, as I said, if you build that skills on the long term, you will find what you are looking for. But at the same time, I think the whole point of this is that there is what I've been saying is that work-life balance is a myth. So there's at a surface level you can try to balance life, but true balance comes from shifting your focus to the underlying things which I mentioned in the presentation. I don't know if you joined late, but I would suggest that you go back when the recording is available. Go back to that section where I speak about the three things that will lay the foundation for better, enjoyable life.
Yeah, we will share the recording links to your email ID, Mr. Sunil. And we have Vedika Singh, a raised hand. Ma'am, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hello, sir. So
Hi.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
So my question is, can mindfulness work reduce to overthinking? Because sometimes we think a lot that is not happen in real life. So how to cope up with this?
No, that's a great question. Yes, the short answer is yes, it can. So what's happening is that, everything that is happening in your life can be reduced to a thought. Okay. So, and it's only in the waking state. I mean, let's forget about dream state. Something else is happening in dreams. But if you differentiate between the waking state and the deep sleep state is where there are no troubles in life. Now, what's happening there? Because the mind is not functional, right? Mind is at rest. So how to get to that same thing during waking state is a challenge. We have conditioned our mind to think, because it's the nature of the mind, to think about 10 things and worry about things. I think it's Mark Twain who said that I've suffered many catastrophes in life which have not happened. So, so our mind's job is to worry and think, and it's either in the past or in the future, never in the present. So we have to mindfulness will, allow you to think about, observe this condition, these traits about mind, and then you slowly, reduce that thing, and you're more and more in the moment. So yeah, so meditation, as I said, waking up app will help you, or there are many other apps, not just waking up. Pick your thing that you like, but explore and. But I think what everybody can do is, as I said, focus on one thing at a time. That is actually reducing your mind's chatter. So if you're saying, if you're working, if you're writing, you're cooking, anything, right? If you're watching TV, watch TV. Involve yourself fully in that. So that is one way to train your mind to not think waver too much.
Hope that answered your question, Ms. Vedika Singh.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As it's 12 o'clock, I would like to quickly talk about our upcoming talks and move on to other Q&A. Yeah. We have a talk by Ms. Sadia Hurzuk on dementia. And Sadia Hurzik is a program coordinator from ARDSI, that is Alzheimer's and Related Disorders Society of India. She's going to speak on dementia, various types, and identification of dementia. And this is on 14 September 2024, 11 a.m. on Zoom. And the next talk is on biogas plants for waste management. This is by Meena Ravindran and team, and she is former Deputy Chief Executive from Department of Atomic Energy. And this is on September 28th and 2024, 11 a.m.